Stallion, live events change lives.
No doubt about it. That's why we want you to join us for a live event here in Birmingham, January 6th through the 8th. Go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/live.
Hey, we're going to give you access to our network and the other people within the community so that you can have the exact blueprint on how to become financially free, the same one the Stallion and I have been using to post our passive income report every single month. Don't miss this opportunity. Go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/live. Don't start the new year with a goal. Start the new year with a plan to accomplish your goal.
Russ, I want to put a challenge out to anybody that has a circle of friends that cannot answer this question. What is the best tax advice you ever received? And what I mean by that is if their only answer to you is, I don't know, I talked to my CPA, you're in the wrong group. Like, you need to surround yourself with a different network of people. Agree or disagree?
Well, I'll use the Mark Cargill approach here. It depends, right? Because if you're working for your company and you're not investing in yourself, you're not investing in outside assets, you have no write-offs, you have no reason to get a tax strategy. You have no reason to look outside the box. But if you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, and you are itemizing different expenses, and you're looking to build passive income streams, you're looking to build more businesses and expand upon your businesses, I agree with you 100%. You ought to upgrade your friends. You need to be around people who are talking about this conversation so that you know what the people who are paying less in taxes but making more in money than you are doing.
The bottom line is, if you're listening to this podcast, you have a desire for financial freedom. And my point is we created an opportunity for you to be in the right group, to be alongside the same people who are on that same path with you. And it just got really exciting because the Inner Circle has always been, but Inner Circle Live is now available. We want you to join us in January 6th through the 8th here in Birmingham. We're going to host you in our hometown for the very first event. And this is where you get surrounded by the people who are doing big things and who are challenging that question, what is the best tax advice you ever received, so that they can learn and they get there faster. So join us. And Russ, as we dive into this topic with the best coaches in the nation, let's and I.
We're going to break down real quickly.
You're going to stop.
There's three main ideas that's going to happen right now. When you get in here, we're going to share three big ideas: the mistakes people make, the upgrades they take, and the tactics that you can use to put it all together. All that is happening right now. Stallion, pull your chair up to the table and belly up.
Belly up.
Welcome to the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast, your guide to understanding how to get out of the Wall Street rat race and start your own mailbox money lifestyle. Now, don't let these handsome Southern draws fool you. These financial minds are teaching our country to enhance savings, increase cash flow, and create passive income, all without the help of Wall Street. Are you ready to break through? Now here are your hosts, Russ Morgan and Joey Murray.
Welcome into the Financial Freedom Roundtable, where each week we break down complex financial topics so that you can more easily understand them and, more importantly, take action on your path to becoming financially free. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Grateful to have you in the room. I'm Russ Morgan. They call me the idea guy, mostly because like a follow-through guy just didn't sound so cool to me. But enough about me for a moment. Let me introduce you to my co-host, the Italian Stallion. He's got the license plate cover to prove it, Mr. Joey Murray. Stallion, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Russ. Always a pleasure to be with you, my friend.
Thank you. Today, we're breaking down the best tax advice you've ever received. And for the love, please don't give tax advice. Only share an experience with you today.
I promise, and I have my hand on the Bible. You just can't see it or hear it. But yes, I will not give tax advice.
Okay. Why is this topic so important for us to cover?
Well, I mean, let's face it. Taxes affect everyone. However, the knowledge on taxes is scarce. Let me explain what I'm talking about. If you go out and you talk to 10 of your closest friends, the chances of you getting anything more back from them with this question, like, what's your best tax advice? The chances of them saying anything more than I just give it to my accountant. I have a good accountant. That's literally the vast majority of people that would say is tax advice. That tells you that this topic, us being on one place and having all these different perspectives of people sharing legitimate tax ideas that we've implemented, is gold. You will absolutely save a ton of money just by being here today.
Okay. All right. Promise accepted. Ready to hear it. All right. Thankfully though, you and I are not the only ones on this call. We're joined by the dream team of financial coaches. To my left, I got Mr. Incredible. His speed to financial freedom is his real superpower. The real beauty to that speed is just contagious. My man, JD Hill. Say hello to your fans, JD.
Hey, fans. Thank you you did a good job of collecting yourself there. That was good. That was
hey,
really
man,
good.
I'm mixing it up on my own stuff when I want to, man. My stuff. Tell me, why are we talking about this topic today of what is the best tax advice you've ever received? Why is this important?
Well, I think for me, and I think a lot of people, the way that we keep score is how much money you're making, right? And if we're taking points off the board, which is through Uncle Sugar, taking money out of your pocket, I don't like that. And we're getting close to the end of the year. And people are trying to, I think, scramble right now to make tax decisions, self-admittedly here. And the good news is that there's still time to be able to make really good tax decisions that'll have a meaningful impact on your taxes for next year. So maybe Uncle Sugar asks for less money next year.
Man, Uncle Sugar, huh?
Uncle Sugar, yeah. I stole that from a friend. It's not original to me.
Hey, accept it.
I will.
Just take it. Nobody knew your friend. They know you, bro.
Hey, come on.
You got the real superpower.
I do. It's running away from Uncle Sugar.
All right, let's bring somebody else into the conversation. A true financial Sherlock Holmes of our day. No problem too difficult to solve. If I would have only known him earlier, I've been so much richer. Said everybody. Mr. Downtown Ernie Brown. I see Ern.
Man, it's good to be seen. Thanks for letting me be back.
Tell me, what is the best tax advice you've ever received? And why is this so important for us to cover today?
Well, I'm gonna hold my answer, but I do think that this is important because when I think about, for the average person, when they think about the top 5, 10, 15 best conversations that they've had in their life around money, I wonder how many of them would include a conversation around taxes in those top conversations, because that information is scarce and at best is not very exciting. So we're here to make keeping more money in your pocket great again.
Oh, man, that seems like it's going to be on a red hat soon.
I'm not saying that I would buy it.
Oh, I thought you were making it, man. Like I was at the Land Geek boot camp, and one of the Land Geek coaches is always telling me about a new slogan, a new thing he's putting on a hat. So it is cool to see the passive income shirts making its way around the country. That is cool to see. That is totally cool. We had Ken McElroy on his YouTube page doing his podcast and the passive income mastermind shirt. That was awesome. All right.
Really cool.
Let's bring another coach into the conversation. To your right, the piano man. We're all in the mood for passive income, and you have a C in the light, Mr. Matthew Hammond. Welcome back, Matthew.
Thank you, sir. It's good to be back. I am extremely excited. I never thought I would say this in a million years, but I'm extremely excited to talk about taxes today.
Why do you think this topic is so important for us to cover?
So we're all passive investors here. So this somewhat goes without saying, but every investment strategy that exists has some sort of impact on your tax situation. It could have a positive impact or it could have a negative impact. And without the proper education and without that knowledge of the tax code, you, one, will not be able to prepare for that potential negative impact. And two, which is maybe even more importantly, you will not be able to benefit from the positive impacts of these investment strategies. So that is why it's super important to me, and it should be important to everybody.
Love that. All right, let's get on to the right. The king of Behan, Mr. Real Estate himself. He's agnostic to his type as long as it produces cash flow. The multi-talented Jamie O'Brien. Good to see you, Jamie.
Good to see you, Russ. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Why do you feel like this topic on taxes is so important for us to cover today?
Well, I want to answer your question with a question. Russ, do you hate money?
Man, I don't, but sometimes the way I spend it, you would think I do.
So I don't hate money either. And so my goal is to keep as much of that legally as I possibly can. And I think that's where this topic is extremely important, because there are avenues in which you can keep more of your hard-earned money legally. And without advice, you're probably not going to do that very well. So that's why I think that's important today.
So good. So good. All right. Last but not least, the surgeon of the group. He has a precision-like approach to cash flow and can diagnose problems before they even occur just by looking at your financial statement. Mr. Automated Budget, Eric Hudson. Great to see you and have you on the show, Eric.
Man, thank you so much, Russ. I am pumped to be here. What a group.
Why are we talking about this subject today? Why is it so important?
Russ, being the surgeon, the fake medical professional that I am, I want to go with straight to physiology.
Okay.
We all have that gnawing in our gut, right? Sometimes we're leaving the house and it's that gnawing in our gut. I'm forgetting something. And we get halfway down the road and we realize, yes, I should have listened to that. That was intuition. I knew something was wrong. So many of the entrepreneurs listening to this podcast right now, they've got the gnawing. They know something's wrong. It's important that we talk about this so that we can answer that gnawing in their gut and solve that situation that they know just isn't right.
Preach on, man. The DFM, as Uncle Sugar says over here, Doctor of Financial Medicine. I love it. I love it. Hey, look, the reason for this topic is financial freedom's formula is passive income greater than monthly expenses. If I give less to the IRS, I get to give more to solving the problem I'm trying to get over, which is having not enough financial freedom, need more passive income, money that doesn't go to the government. I can use to buy assets to produce that passive income. We got to cover this. There's no time like today. We got to make meaningful decisions that will impact that tax. The government is what, $32 trillion in debt, Stallion?
Yep. And it's growing by the minute. By the time this podcast's over, I don't know if we'll be at 33. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, look, taxes the taxes are not going down. The IRS just hired 90,000 new IRS agents out there. We are not going to see taxes go down. What the former Comptroller General of the United States said, there's a 4-letter word as the reason why taxes are going to double in the future, and it was math. And what he was referring to is that $32 trillion in debt going up, and the only way they're going to keep up with it, and the way they're going to be able to overcome those expenses by increasing revenue, and that means money coming out of our pockets. So we've got to cover this.
No doubt.
There's 3 main points today, okay? 3 big ideas that we need to touch on. There's mistakes people make, right? There's upgrades that you can take to help you, and there's tactics that you can make as well. So I'm gonna get over to you, Eric, the surgeon, the doctor of financial medicine, as Uncle Sugar says. Tell me about a mistake that people make when it comes to taxes.
Russ, I got to stay with physiology. Unfortunately, I realize CPAs do autopsies. That's what they're doing. You're taking your dead financial information to them that's already happened. It's dead and gone. It's past, and they're just doing the autopsy on it. What we've got to do, and what people make the mistake of, is not looking into the future for tax strategy. It's critical to do that.
So good. What about you, Stallion? What's the mistake people are making out there?
Well, I'm kind of in the same genre as what Eric's talking about. Is I learned over the years that my CPA is looking in the rear view mirror. He's only reporting to the IRS what I've already completed. And exactly what you were talking about before, Eric, is you've got this issue, like you know that something is not quite right. I'm paying too much. I just can't put my finger on why or where. And the reason is because your accountant is not proactively helping you to see things that you could do. They're just reporting. And so once I realized that, and somebody pointed this out to me, that the mistake we make is by expecting our accountant to be a tax strategist. They're two different roles. And if you don't have one in the right place, then you're expecting too much of the other one. And so anyways, it's just like, I would never want to ask my tax strategist to do all my accounting. They're looking ahead. I don't need them looking in the rearview mirror. I need them looking ahead. So that's the thought process. But can I add one more thing, Russ?
Please.
I feel like you missed a big opportunity when you were talking about why this is so important.
Okay.
You talked about the financial freedom formula, right? Passive income greater than monthly expenses. When we focus in on taxes and we start gathering all this experience that we're talking about today, it's actually the fastest way to financial freedom because it's a double whammy. Once I reduce my taxes, it reduces the monthly expenses that I have, and I take the cash that I would have spent towards those things and I buy assets that create passive income. It's raising that passive income side. So I've literally just had a massive shift in my cash flow. And if I do that year in, year out, how much faster could I get to financial freedom? Mm-hmm. So this is a major topic, and that's why I want to point that out.
No, good catch, Zion. It is definitely an accelerator, right? A lot of times people put the brakes on the topic when it comes to taxes, right? Because it's such out of their league, or they believe it is. They believe they have to delegate this off, that they can't be a participant in it. And financial freedom is a participatory sport. You need to be a part of it. You need to be educating yourself like you're doing right now, listening to this podcast. And it's ideas like what I believe is one of the biggest mistakes that people make is there's no such thing as loopholes, right? We hear in the media and sometimes from people that, man, there's these tax loopholes these people are using in order to avoid taxes. I don't want to get involved in those tax loopholes because what happens if they close the loophole? What if they come and audit me? Well, everyone has access to the same tax code, man. These taxes and these tax codes have been passed into law by Congress. The fact that you're not using them, shame on you. Like, to me, this is like saying that driving in the left lane and passing in the left lane on the interstate is a loophole. Now, that's no loophole. We should be moving toward the tax code, not afraid of finding out what's in there. And I think that's a big mistake people make is, my CPA doesn't like it. The IRS doesn't like it. This is a tax loophole. No, that's a mistake. They're tax codes. You should use the tax codes appropriately to your situation and take that to be able to save the monthly expenses, which help you, as you said, Stallion, get closer to financial freedom.
But hey, before you move on, I want for somebody that just heard you say that and they're like, yeah, that sounds good, Russ, but I don't feel comfortable running towards the tax code because what if I get audited? Like, what's your answer to that? I think that's a real objection in people's mind.
Why are you afraid to be audited? What I hear from the most successful people, especially in our passive income mastermind, they look at audits as a financial checkup. They look to see, like, am I doing my job? Am I doing it at the highest level? Right? Because if you're not doing it at the highest level, then maybe you are afraid of the tax code. Maybe you are afraid of an audit. Like, are you not documenting your process? Are you not utilizing the things that you're supposed to? If you're doing that, then that's why people would be scared. Otherwise, if you're doing it right, who cares? And by the way, if you're listening to this, you're an IRS agent, hey, good on you. But I'm just going to tell you, if I'm paying the money for tax attorneys and accountants, they should be smart enough to know how to do this correctly. And I'm just from my experience, limited experience in this, the ones the IRS are hiring are not the top of the bar, right? And so I'm going to look at this and say, if we're not doing it well enough that these guys are approved, then we're missing the mark and we need to do it better. Agree?
No cap.
Yeah.
No caps, all the bars, man.
No cap.
Hey, in this situation, I want to be like our friend, right? Matty J. I want to be Mr. Document the Process. I want to document this thing. Come on.
That's right.
All right, let's talk about upgrades. Okay, we got to upgrade. I'm going to bring you into the conversation, Jamie. Tell me about an upgrade someone needs to be making.
Yeah. So what I've learned, and it's taken me a lot longer than it should have, Russ, but I learned that possibilities are bigger than penalties. And what I mean by that is I've recently had a conversation with my CPA and tax strategist on how do I pull money out of these qualified plans. And I know that's a bad word here. And trust me, like I said, it's taken me a little bit longer to get my mind where it needed to be to where it made sense. But I trust myself, to Eric's point earlier, with my resources a lot more than I trust the stock market and everything else, especially in the current conditions, to take care of that. So what I'm currently working on is trying to pull qualified plan dollars out that I can then use to fund my system, to build my passive income, to get me where I need to be.
Russ, I remember my dad specifically say to me, Joey, you gotta go to college. I don't want you to end up like me. And you know what my dad was saying is, in order for things to change, things have to change. You can't end up just like me.
Well, I mean, we as parents, sometimes we take on the burden thinking about our kids and how we want something better for them. And we want to know, what will their future look like if I don't take action, if I don't do something different?
See, in my house, I'm the role model. You're your kid's role model. And the buck stops with you. It's time to take action. If you're ready to take action, join us at wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/passport and get started on your own journey to financial freedom.
All right, let's jump back into this episode.
But so why, Jamie? Like, why do you have that confidence now that you didn't 3 years ago?
Well, it's a combination of things. I think education was a big part of that. Also breaking away from just the W-2 in general. That was a kind of a big just mindset shift of, these dollars are locked up somewhere where taxes are probably going to be higher in the future, where I just can't access them. And as Russ says all the time, cash is king, right? I mean, opportunities to find cash. And I've found myself where there's opportunities that I'm probably passing on right now that could earn me, extra passive income or, extra tax benefits at that I'm just not utilizing because I've got this money tied up somewhere. And so for me, it's really just about access to that money and really just educating myself enough to get over that fear of those penalties. I think that's what holds a lot of people back is, well, I don't want to be penalized at 10%. Well, how can you, my personal strategy or what I've done is invested in some apartment deals that we've cost segged and been able to take extra depreciation that are going to offset, those gains, help me stay in a lower tax bracket, even when I pull money out of those qualified plans. That's what I've done personally. Again, not tax advice, but that's where it came around for me.
Love that.
Awesome.
How about you, Matt? You've been quiet over there. Tell me about an upgrade that someone can make.
So early on in my investing journey, I learned very quickly that not all CPAs or tax planners or tax preparers are created equal. When I first got into real estate investing and more specifically short-term rental investing, I learned through my own research and through conversations with tax experts that were in the short-term rental space that there is a huge, huge rule in the tax code that allows short-term rental owners to apply depreciation against active income. And as soon as I learned this, I said, I got to take advantage of this big time. And so I took it to my CPA at the time, and she looked at it and she said, I'm not very familiar with short-term rentals and how that applies to the taxes. So I'm really not comfortable with this. So I'm not sure if I'm comfortable doing this for you. So, well, I was not going to pay thousands and thousands of dollars in extra taxes just to appease her comfort levels. So we had a conversation, and we had a mutual agreement to part as friends. And I upgraded my CPA to a tax strategist and a CPA who was more familiar with the short-term rentals and the strategies around short-term rentals. And so I was able to take advantage of those benefits using my upgraded CPA. And so I learned very early on that you never want to be too scared to upgrade your teams, because you will evolve as an investor, and so your teams need to evolve with you.
So good, man. I love that so much. All right, let's jump around here. JD, I've kept you out of the conversation for far too long.
You have.
Give me a tactic, right? So we've covered mistakes that people have made. We've talked about some upgrades that they can make. Let's talk some tactics.
Tactics. That's good. Yeah. So let me go tactical. Y'all have heard me say this before. Those who pay attention.
Yeah.
Right. And I imagine everybody on this call right now, everybody listening, has all paid taxes. Right. And so when you start paying taxes, you start paying attention to how much you're sending out. My kids don't know anything about taxes because they don't pay taxes, right? They pay candy tax for sure. So they're starting to get an insight into that. But my point though, is that when we start to pay attention, you realize that there are incentives that the government wants you to do, right? In other words, they're not loopholes. They're incentives. The government is wanting you as the consumer to invest dollars in certain areas in the economy to help the economy. That's why they create these and give you the ability to write that off as a deduction, is if you basically are partnering with the government in these initiatives. And so let me give you a real quick example. This year, I took I met with my tax attorney, which is a key here, not a CPA, but a tax attorney, a potential $300,000 liability, and we're going to be able to turn that into about a $30,000 liability, right? And what's crazy about that is that's half of what I paid in taxes last year, and I'm going to make 3 times more than what I made this year.
Oh, wow.
That's huge.
Now, so go ahead, Russ.
Well, I was going to ask you, give me the tactic. How did you do that? That's what I'm riding down the road. I'm like, I want to do that. Like, I want to cut my taxes by 90%. I want to pay 10%, not 100%.
Yeah. The way I did is I'm just not going to pay Uncle Sugar. No, I'm kidding. No. So seriously, right, is instead of working with a CPA, which I have a CPA, I think CPAs are great, is I partnered with a tax planning firm, a tax attorney planning firm. And the difference between the two is one is reactive, right? Which is the CPA, they're historians, they're looking back on decisions that have already been made, and one is proactive. So I'm learning from an attorney what I can and cannot do based on what the government wants me to do and what they want me to invest in. So one of the things that we're doing this year is we are investing in a land conservation easement. And the beauty of the land conservation easement, and this blew my mind, right, is the general idea behind it is you're investing in an area of land that can no longer be developed, right? You are preserving that land forever. So nobody can go and develop on it. Nobody can go do anything to that land. It is now preserved forever. Well, that's important because if we don't do that, at some point we're going to end up building houses and buildings on top of everything, right? So we're preserving this land, and in exchange for that preservation, what I'm doing, or conservation rather, I'm getting a 5-to-1 deduction that I never have to pay back. So for every dollar I put into this investment, I'm writing off $5 off of my active income.
Wow. That seems that's sugar right there, man.
Hey, Uncle Sugar can't see me, you know?
Oh, man. I love that. How about you, Eric? Give me something tactical.
Russ, have you ever heard of a little golf tournament they hold over in Georgia called the Masters?
Oh, man. I love that place. It's so good.
Amazing. You might be surprised to know that I am crushing it over in Augusta. No, I cannot play golf. I'm not that good. But there is a little rule called the Augusta rule that allows you to rent your home to yourself if you own a business, and you can write that rental income off. So it's an expense to the business, 100% tax-free to me as an individual. Last year, I did that to the tune of $63,000 tax-free income. It's amazing.
Wow. That's
a
pretty
big
cool,
deal.
because if you think about that here's, and I know you've done this math because you're the financial surgeon here, right? But Joey, I mean, I'm just going to slow this down for you, okay? Typically, for Eric to put $63,000 in his pocket, he would have had to make $100,000, pay the tax to get 63 in his pocket. But instead of that, what he did is put 63 in his pocket as an expense to his business and no personal income revenue having to be paid on that. That's amazing. What could you do with $37,000, Stallion? You could take me to the Masters this year. This is what the answer should have been, man. Come on. Come on.
Hey, I'll do it, man. I'll do it. Let's do it.
Ern, how about you, man? I'm sorry. I've catch you over. Baby's in the corner all day long. Let's get Ern out of the corner, man.
I've been taking a nap over here.
Give me something tactical.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about strategies to legally reduce your tax burden, right?
Yeah.
Well, but then at some point you end up still paying some tax in most instances, right?
Right.
And this year I learned how to take that I am paying and make sure that it does some good and create a financial benefit to me. And here's what I mean. I was at a dinner for a charity and discovered that there's a provision that exists, at least in Alabama, where a C corp or a S corporation can donate up to 100% of the owner's state tax liability, up to $100,000, to this organization. And this organization, in turn, turns that around and gives it to schools or places that provide scholarships for kids, which, by the way, the state is already providing tax revenue towards these things. I just get to circumvent that and do it that way. And so I'm ensuring that on the remainder of my state tax liability, that those dollars are going to be put to work for somewhere I know is good. Not social programs that I don't agree with, but definitely to schools that I know are doing good for the next generation. And the kicker to that is that check that I sent off a couple of weeks ago gets to be an expense of the company, therefore reducing my federal tax liability.
Oh, wow. So you're kind of double dipping on this thing.
I do some social good and some financial good for myself.
Hey, by the way, if one of these ideas you've heard, you're like, I need to know more about what that is. Not that any one of these coaches are experts to tell you how to do it, but what they can do is point you toward resources or help answer your questions and then give you the people that know exactly what you need to do in order to make that happen. You got to take action on this. Go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/free call and jump on there and help them, have them help you, show you what is possible. Because, you know, Stallion, you and I, we went several years ago over to Mississippi, spent some time with the tax attorney group over there. And they said, boys, you guys are fruitful. You guys taken the Lord's word 100% to heart and have been fruitful and multiplied. Stallion, you have 5 kids. I have 4. And they're like, what are you doing in order to make all of those expenses, all of those activities that your kids are involved in? Because I know they're involved in all sort of different things. How are you making sure you're paying those dollars with pre-tax versus post-tax dollars? It's like, what do you mean? I didn't know that was possible. I thought those are all personal things. You can't deduct personal expenses. I know that. You know, I'm no expert. I had to, get out of intermediate accounting by the skin of my teeth, in college. I know at least that much. They said, don't you know your kids pay 0 in taxes? I was like, yeah, I know they pay 0 in taxes. They don't make any money. Trying to figure out how to get these jokers to make some money. They don't pay any taxes. They said, yeah. But what if your kids were doing things for your business and helping your business market? You could pay them from the business. And now those little jokers can start paying for their own swim meets. They can start paying for their own soccer tournaments, paying for their own swim coaches. I'm like, I like where you're going here. So not only have my 2 oldest been working for the marketing company by getting on podcasts and performing different functions in the business and taking courses like the Turo course or the short-term rental course and we're talking about it on here, which is a marketing expense. But I got a new one for you guys. I don't think I've told but a few of you about this. My little guy who's about to turn 10 on Sunday, he and I have been for the last 4 weeks getting in our pool and doing a 2-minute semi-cold plunge because it's still 60 degrees here in Alabama. But we're doing that every single day. And I was like, you know what? Man, this little joker, he's got some expenses. Just yesterday, I had to take him to soccer practice and then leave soccer practice and take him to Kid Strong. The day before, I took him to a swim practice. I'm spending close to $1,000 a month on all of these activities, and he likes to eat food a bunch. It's like, we're about to take this 2-minute cold plunge daily, and we're going to start posting that on YouTube. And we're going to start having conversations about finance and kids learning about money and all these different things. And I'm going to take his image and I'm going to pay him $12,000 for access to that image. But I'm going to use that account that I'm posting that money in to pay for all this stuff he's using too. So there's a tactical idea that my tax attorneys have showed me, and all I got to do is figure out how to use it. So
that's amazing. That's so cool.
You like that?
It's actually really cold, really cold.
Congratulations to Ryan for his first NIL deal.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, gentlemen.
Something. Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, you were going to wrap it up.
I was going to ask for a final thought. So here's your final thought. Jump in there.
All right. So my final thought is what's amazing is there's 6 or 7 of us. I had to do the quick math. Not one of us said anything about a qualified plan.
Oh,
not a mention of a 401k, of an IRA, of a SEP, of a simple, of a deferred comp. No mention whatsoever of a qualified plan. And I think that's telling, right? You've got folks in here that are doing a big job, making big incomes, and no mention whatsoever of qualified plans. I'm not telling you not to do one. That's not advice. I'm just telling you, nobody said anything about putting money into an Uncle Sugar 401k.
By the way,
trying to get it out.
JD lost the pot. He lost the bet. He ended up saying it. So
I didn't even know there was a bet.
You're paying for dinner. It's on you.
All right.
All right, Jamie, final
Taco
thought.
Bell, here we come.
Final thoughts. I think as you upgrade in life, or as you do better, you learn more. You need to surround yourself with the right people. As you grow, you learn more about what you don't know. And so good advice is always key, and keeping as much money as you possibly can legally is what I'm all about.
Matthew, final thought.
Well, first of all, I wanted to compliment you on your story of the cold plunge. That's the first time I think I've ever heard of someone using the tax strategy to bring a father and son closer together. So that's awesome.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
But as far as final thought, basically, don't be afraid of the IRS. The more knowledge you gain, the more education you gain, the fear will go down. There's no reason to fear the IRS. They wrote a book to follow. And if you don't have time to read that book, then just partner up with somebody who did have time to read that book, and then your problems are solved.
So good. Eric, final thought.
Yeah, this came to me earlier today. If you want to run a marathon, you can't spend your time walking with 2-milers. You got to get out there and spend your time with people who are running 26 miles a day. Even if you can't start at 26, you may start at 2, but you got to spend your time with them if that's where you want to go. So that's what you're doing by being on this podcast. Congratulations to you. Let's go run a marathon. Let's win.
Love that. Ern, final thought.
Well, if we're talking about ideas that you can deduct or expense, right? And those things happen once you document the process. It's impossible to document things that you don't understand, right? Or at least very, very challenging, right? And you can't understand things unless you first get the idea of how to do it. And if your network isn't able to share these ideas with you, maybe you would benefit from joining a different community and hearing these ideas, understanding how to implement them into your situation so that you can document and reap the reward of it. So my encouragement would be, in last word, here's an opportunity to join this community, this inner circle of people who are hearing these ideas and getting connected to the people to help put them in place.
One more time, Stallion, give them the link if they wanted to go and find out how to do that.
Yeah, go to wealth.wallstreet.com/free call. jump on a call with one of these coaches to get your right next thing so that you know you're on your path. And every single week thereafter, we're covering one of the 5 pillars that it takes to become financially free. And one of those is tax strategy. So if you think that these are good ideas, these are good experiences that we've had, imagine the other members of the inner circle all collectively sharing their ideas. How much faster will you get to financial freedom with those ideas? That's the question that I have for you. And that's where I'll leave you today.
Man, so good. And to just add one last thing as we finish this up, when your goal behavior is the normal behavior of the people that you're around, you level up. And that's what being in these communities give you access to, is people who are doing these things. You get to borrow the experiences of hundreds of people, which creates thousands of possibility. And I love the fact that you coaches take all of those ideas and help give safety by boiling it down to just 5 things and helping people see what the right next thing is for them. So if you haven't taken us up on it, go to what'swhatwallstreet.com/free call. And we would love to talk to you. Thank you for listening to this episode. As always, if you haven't had a chance, please take time, rate, review, and subscribe. We would love to share this with a friend. Have an amazing day.
This has been the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the show to break free of the Wall Street mindset and begin building wealth on your own terms in places you understand so that your wealth will never run dry. See you next episode.